1990, a golden age for boy racers. A hot hatch was the thing to have, and the faster, the better. The Fiesta RS Turbo was the performance model of the Fiesta Mk3. It was introduced in April of 1990, and production continued until 1992. The XR2i, introduced a year earlier, was remarkably similar in looks. What set the RS Turbo apart was the 14-inch alloy wheels 1 inch larger than the XR2i with 185 wide rubber. Door mouldings were green on the RS rather than blue. Colour-coded rear spoiler and door pillars, opening rear quarter windows, green tinted glass and the famous RS bonnet vents. Inside the car, the differences include the Recaro seats you see here that really hug you in, a grey leather trimmed gear knob, a 3-spoke steering wheel as opposed to the 2-spoke used in the XR2i. The RS Turbo CVH engine retained the same 1.6 motor as the XR2i, but had a lower compression ratio of 8:1, making it perfect for boost. A Garrett T2 turbocharger supplied 8 psi of boost, but today's model features a T3 from an Escort RS Turbo. As with the Escort, an air-to-air intercooler was fitted. This is slightly larger on the Fiesta, and today's example is an aftermarket one, but in the stock location. The quoted power output was 132 brake and 132 pound-feet of torque, which gave the car a top speed of 133 miles an hour and a 0 to 60 of 7.9 seconds. The car wasn't very well received upon release, communicating poor handling, bad steering feel. Compared to the 205 GTI, it just was no comparison. But we're going to take it out on the road today and see what this car's like on the road in 2020. Okay guys, so you join me from the seat of a Fiesta RS Turbo, and obviously first car I've ever driven on the channel, and I think it's a real beauty. 1990 model this. Really limited production run on the RS Turbos, only around about 2 years. But we're going to see today just kind of what it's like on the roads. And I will start by saying that any brand new Ford in regards to the likes of the Fiesta ST would absolutely destroy this in virtually every way when it comes to handling, outright speed. But one thing that it hasn't got is nostalgia. It hasn't got that feeling. There's no way, you just don't get that turbo chatter that you get from this. This is much more of a special experience, like taking this car out compared to just a Fiesta, which could honestly now just feel like any other comfortable daily passenger car. You know, this is something that you've really got to care for, you've got to be cautious with. You can't just put your foot to the floor in this one because it will want to kill you. So this has got the limited slip diff out of the Escort, because these cars never had a limited slip from stock, and it's got a slightly bigger turbo too, having the T3 also out of the Escort RS Turbo. So we're just going to take it for a little pull. So we've got a nice straight bit of road here. So it spins up straight away. So although it puts a smile on your face, like, that is far from fast. But there is a lot to be said for a car which you can use all the available power band. So many people nowadays just chase a number, they just go for that headline figure, they love the pub numbers, but this isn't about that. It does want to kill you, it does. It just want to rip you off the road. You feel it then, just nearly took me. Oh, but this is a fun little car for B roads, guys. It's so nimble, agile. I would much rather be in this than 99% of the cars that they make nowadays, just simply because this feels really connected in the sense of there is, you know, I haven't got any driver assistance. Like, there's no traction control. There is no power steering. And I think this is just the way things should be. Like, I just think we got lazy. We just don't make cars that engage with you as much anymore. This really is a true classic, and they won't ever make anything like this again. I love that chatter. Oh. Awesome. Brakes are terrible. Oh wow. I mean, this car's actually still on drums, so you can kind of understand like why this isn't all that. But jeez, that is fun. Wanted to torque steer all over the road. I feel a bit more comfortable with it now. When I first got in it, to be fair, the gear stick just felt all over the place, and I don't think that's anything wrong with this car. I think that's just how these things were made. I mean, Ford build quality, I'm not sure if that was something they're particularly known for, particularly in the 90s. So you can imagine running a slightly larger turbo, there is a little bit of lag. So second gear, let's... Oh, what a car, you can just... This is the thing, new cars do not put the smile on your face that something like this does, even just looking at. But to take it out and drive, there's really not much that's gonna compare. At the time, in the 90s, was just such a sweet period for little hatchbacks. Go, go! Ah, yes! Brakes are awful, but taking it on some of the twisty roads, like just to feel how it handles, and the thing does grip pretty nicely. Obviously a little damp, like I said, so we're not going to push it just ridiculously hard today. Lag, 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 lag! Nothing like old school lag, guys. Just hear it coming on boost around about 3,000 RPM. So engine-wise, it's nice and responsive. It really does want to torque steer though, I'm literally not going to lie to you. Any little bit of throttle on boost. Not so bad when you get up there in the RPM, but feels like it has quite a bit of low down torque. Such a fun, wicked little car. Gearbox, now I'm a bit more used to it. Doesn't slot in too badly. Does feel a little on the notchy side. Like, I think that's just a 90s gearbox, you know, like these things never had a DSG option, I'm afraid, so sorry all you Golf fanboys, but manual it is. 5-speed box. Don't want to be pushing it into 6th because you'll be heading into reverse. Torque steer. This car must have been absolutely just bonkers when it first came out, and you can see why. Insurance must have been crazy, because these were just like a joyrider's dream. Like, these must have been, I can imagine, such a popular car to steal. Just back then when security wasn't really much of a thing on the car, these just must have been easy to get into, easy to take, and just fun, cheap laughs. Can see why. So what do I think about this car, and would you own one in 2020? Well, I think if there's a certain amount of nostalgia attached to the car, i.e. you've previously had one, your parents had one, I think you're going to be all over it. But I think there is obviously just lots better choices nowadays, but they just don't drive like this. The steering is perfect. Gearbox, probably a little to be desired in terms of how stiff and how precise the actual feel and throw is. Brakes, I would recommend to be the very first thing that you changed, like without a doubt. Yeah, it loves spinning up. These cars are just rising in value just so much. The example that we've got today is worth over nearly £11,000, which is crazy to think, really. I think if we were to look in old money, it's probably more than these things cost brand new. The seats really hug you in. My first impressions of when I actually saw them is I didn't think they were really going to do all that much, but to be fair with you, they're really comfy actually. The only thing that I find a bit awkward about the driving position, I feel a little bit too high, and also it does feel like the switches for the electric windows are a little bit of an afterthought, like I've really got to try and reach for those. But aside from that, I really like the interior, and obviously it's no BMW, it's no new Golf, etc. of course, but as far as 90s dashers go, I think this is really cool. I think the only thing really missing from here that would kind of improve this any further would have been like kind of a boost gauge from factory. Oh, it's so fun, and it does handle well, honestly. These roads around here are great. I was reading back on a lot of reviews from these at the time, and they complained how stiff the suspension was, and this car is pretty much on fully stock suspension, and this feels fine. It really doesn't feel too over the top in terms of how stiff it is. Whether we've just become more accepting or what, I can't be sure, but superb car. I just want to say a huge thank you to David. Just really appreciate you handing me the keys to take a car out for the first time on the channel, and particularly something so special, literally a 30-year-old, absolutely mint, near new condition RS Turbo. I really do appreciate it. This car is actually up for sale, and for anyone who's actually interested, I will leave David's contact details for how to get hold of him in the description. My first time driving any RS Ford like this, really enjoyed the whole experience,